I believe we are live. So, hello everyone. Welcome once again to Investing with the Difference. So, we are live again, and a lot is happening in the market. So, we wanted to discuss all those things. And first of all, of course, as you know, we are on YouTube, as you all know, and we do have a Telegram channel. So, we are not doing that many videos these days, but we have a very active community discussions on our Telegram channel and Twitter. We keep updating anything which we believe we are following and which is important. So do follow us there and do join us on Telegram if you are looking for some more views on a daily basis. But coming back to our live show, so I think, as I mentioned, we are going to today talk about what's going on in markets. A lot of people have questions. They're coming and asking us about what do we think, why is the EOS underperforming, or what's really going on. As you know, I think we will talk about a lot of things which are happening in EOS and what our views are. Again, I keep reminding you, any of the things which I talk about are my personal views. They are not investment advice. Even if I'm talking about price, it's just a commentary on what I see and what are the observations. None of these should be taken as investment advice. So be very careful when it is about money, and it's all about a new technology world which we are looking at. So let's look at the markets now. I think every time I refresh it, there's a totally different price point. You see, that's the volatility we are seeing right now. The movements are pretty big. So let's directly jump onto the Bitcoin chart first of all. So what are we seeing here? What we're seeing is really huge candles. So what has happened in last 24 hours? We are seeing a move of almost $3,500. That means 30% or more moves in the Bitcoin price. This is within 24 hours we are talking about. So this is really high volatility. And it is the impact of the very high volumes. I'm sorry for these ads. Let me remove them. So this is the impact of what's really happening. Like we have seen a 300% rise or maybe more. We are talking about like coming from 3,300 area, making all the way up to 13,500. And if you know, most of this rally, let me go back and zoom out. I always tell you to zoom out, and you see it is almost going like, it's some people are tracking the Fibonacci levels and other lot of things on technical basis you can define. But let me tell you what is really happening. What happened is everybody has been looking for a pullback, and this rally never gave a pullback. What that meant is nobody believed in this rally, and it kept on getting bigger and bigger. Now we are at a stage where bulls and bears are fighting, and there is no way you can say whether this is the local top or this is just shaking out the weak hands, and we will continue this rally. Because if you see, similar thing happened when we were hitting these $8,000, $9,000 areas, which was still a big up move from 3,000 areas. And you saw some huge percentage moves, almost like a $2,000 moves. And that's what we are seeing right now, the $3,000 moves. We are still not breaking down. Even after this big up and down moves, we are still way above $10,000, which is huge, which is a very, very psychologically important mark. And I think that's where we are seeing some really important moves. Like in terms of bull market, I think we are definitely in a big bull. Now let's look at EOS BTC. Unfortunately, I'm seeing Coinbase. I don't know why TradingView has changed it to Coinbase. I wish I had a better chart here. But if you remember, when we looked at previously here, we used to have like a breakdown I had talked about, which was happening in EOS price after we failed to continue this rally. And it has been really bad in last few weeks. And that's true for almost all altcoins. If you see, uh, Litecoin, EOS, and Binance. These were the three leaders when we came out of the bear market and we were making bottom. They were the fastest running coins. We did cover this in Twitter, and many times we talked about it. What is happening now, these three are definitely lagging, while most of them are lagging actually, other than Bitcoin and Ethereum, which are the big boys, which are maybe the institutional money. This also may hint that most of this money coming in is institutional money. As you know, the Ethereum has been helped by a lot of news. Secondly, Grayscale has come out with Ethereum trust like fund which can be now listed which is now listed in the stock market, so that just like Bitcoin as GBTC, Ethereum can be bought by anybody as the trust fund of Grayscale, which is ETHE. And I think that has also helped Ethereum a lot. So I would say Bitcoin and Ethereum are definitely the institutional investments, and they are very well established. So that's why I think these have been the leaders. Of course, Bitcoin always leads in any part of the rally, and that's what has been happening. So if you and we did talk about in last videos, in fact, if you go back to some of our videos, I did talk about very clearly when EOS had started looking bad. So let me see where it was. I think we had talked about it a month or so back. But anyway, if you go back to our videos, you can see that. So basically, I was identifying that how EOS can underperform. And right now, it is a matter of every coin is underperforming, and there's no trigger. So let me go back. A lot of people have been excited. And we talked about B1 June. We were all excited about Voice, and the problem is what happened after that is not that significant because, as you know, there are a lot of dependency on Voice to be launched on mainnet. But I don't see any reason why Block One should not be launching it on, let's say, their private testnet. That is what they have promised. They have promised that the first launch will be a beta. So whatever you have signed up here, it says beta access. The reason it says beta access is because Dan has clarified in Telegram that this is for testing with the community. This is not the main launch, and all the tokens you earn will be voided, and when it launches on mainnet, it will be a proper launch with a real token. Now, I don't see why they had to do this B1 June event, and even after 25 days or so, or even more, not a single person has got this beta access. So I think this is a lost opportunity. That is my view from a Voice perspective. I understand that there are a lot of dependencies on mainnet. We will talk about other things. For example, I think EOS IO version 1.8, which we will discuss, and this is something which is important for Voice. And Dan, as I think EOS New York had written a very good article on what is going on in this area. I think Voice needs 1.8, but that is not a problem for launching beta, because that means there are issues at Block One, and they are still trying to figure out KYC. Maybe they are still trying to figure out this whole app, and it's not ready. So that's the only explanation I can have right now for Voice not being ready. And these are some of the factors I would say which is kind of a missed opportunity for EOS in this rally, in terms of news flow, in terms of any trigger which could have led EOS higher. And that's where I would say which we would still need to wait how EOS does in overall, in terms of the market. But overall, let me tell you, any big rally which has happened, even 2017 rally or anything, we have seen that usually Bitcoin and the big caps run first, and I'm sure EOS will catch up irrespective of the fundamentals. I think every coin is going to rally at some point if this rally continues. And looking at the charts, let's go back to the Bitcoin chart, which I've started using the XPT, which is a kind of on BitMEX, where they are using. The good news about BitMEX is that they do a weighted average of multiple exchanges, so it's a pretty good representation of Bitcoin price. So going back to the Bitcoin chart, we are seeing that we are still in a very strong bull run, irrespective of last 24 hours. I don't see why it should be a big problem. All right, guys. So this is all about the price. I think, as I said, long run, I'm still a bull on EOS. I still love the platform. We are developing a lot of things. I'm going to talk a few more things, like, which I'm excited about. While everybody's waiting for Voice, you need to understand, while B1 has been slow and we are all kind of, some are disappointed, some are just waiting. Of course, it's still the best platform to develop apps, and the community is developing. The app developers are not sitting there and waiting. As you know, that most of the things in terms of tools, in terms of wallets, APIs, which Block One came out with, we already had a lot of stuff which was already built by the community from the tools perspective. And then let's talk about apps. Like, I really am a big fan of Item Games. They are continuously churning out game after game, and these are real Android games, which are very very popular. And now they have announced their ICO. and I'm very excited about this. So again, it's not an investment advice. What I'm trying to highlight here is that they are able to raise money, and they are talking about raising millions of dollars right now. And this is something which I'm hearing is like there's already a private sale ongoing, and they have raised. It's a very very solid platform, and this is a team I have met. These are like a huge team which is developing these products on EOS. Then similarly, Diffuse raised money recently. Diffuse is, as you know, this was a team from US Canada, but they have this is a separate entity within their structure where they have been working on these tools, the layer two of EOS, where the dev developers can really integrate the blockchain APIs and really make easy to develop and access blockchain data. This we have been a great fan of Diffuse. We know that this is something which is very very useful for apps, and they have now been recognized by VCs. So these are the things I think which are still exciting, very very important things which are happening in EOS world. This is why we are excited. And as I say, while many of you who are following me on Telegram or some other discussions or groups, I'm very disappointed with how voice has progressed. I would say some of the things which have happened with some of this community stuff, which is really amazing. And these are getting recognized by actual VCs and so on. And that is what matters much, much more than what we are talking about in terms of EOS as a platform. And that's a potential, I think. So price is not a representation of the real potential. And again, I keep going back and looking at this chart. There is no change in the position of EOS. It is still whatever we say, whether it's lagging in the rally, whether it's not doing as good as others, it is still number two platform after Ethereum for smart contract. All others are currencies in the top. In top 10, only Cardano is there, which is way lower than EOS, and it's not even ready. Nobody can use it today. So I think it's a very well established leadership in the modern like the second generation of smart contract platform after Ethereum. On the other hand, yes, Ethereum is now people are getting excited about Ethereum 2, about the proof of stake and the scaled up network. We will see how that goes. Definitely, it had broken out above $300 mark, and now we are seeing it's again down. So let's see how Ethereum performs. But I think a lot of people are coming back to Ethereum as well now, as a hope that Ethereum 2 will finally happen. So overall, I would say it's not going to be winner takes all market. We are seeing a lot of EOS developers and Ethereum developers. And I think these are the two strongest communities today. My personal belief is EOS is still way ahead in terms of usability, in terms of where the developers can develop some really usable apps. All right, let me have a quick look at some questions on the YouTube while we are continuing our live session. So I don't see many questions. I see one of them is, can you put it in your Twitter profile? What is your Telegram channel? So Telegram channel, as I reminded you, if you are on our YouTube, just go to our channel and the biggest button here, Telegram channel, you click it. This is the invite link. This will take you to our Telegram channel. All right. What is, okay, any other questions, do let us know. Please use the chat for asking questions. We are going to be live for another 15 to 20 minutes. Let's go back and then continue discussing what can we expect now. Okay, again, as I said, it's not a financial advice. What I'm trying to highlight here is what has been happening in this rally. We are continuously seeing these big moves after a run up, and we see some volatility. And this time the volatility is at the highest, but we don't break down. Like if you see, the real breakdown happens when we go and break down below the previous breakout levels. So if you know, this latest rally, the previous breakout level was around 9,200, let's say. This is where we broke out and we had this exponential run again, and we never even came back below $10,000. So that's where we are not even testing those levels. So it's such a big bull run that we are not even testing previous breakout levels, which is the very basic minimum of going back into consolidation zone. So I think this is, and if you look at 200 moving average, we have left it behind like by such a huge margin that we are very far away from the mean. And this is why technical analysts are spooked. They're all calling for a correction, and it is not happening because remember, the tops are not formed when everybody is expecting it. If you go to YouTube, watch all these technical analysts who talk about Bitcoin, they're all saying, oh, we don't believe in this rally. But when you are already 4 times up from the lows, and if you're still calling that this is not a believable rally, then you are fooling yourself. It's just that they are in disbelief. They're just trying to justify somehow why they were right, instead of reading what is happening. So this is what I would like to say. And in my simple terms, I would say that this is a clear breakout rally, and we are in a bull run, in a very very strong bull run for that matter. And it, even whatever happened is happening in last 24 hours, we have at one point we had corrected almost 20 to 30%. I think that is not really going to impact this rally at this stage. And the biggest thing which I'm seeing is there is hardly anybody who is getting euphoric. People are very cautious. Everybody is expecting a correction. This is how the rallies get stronger and stronger, and I will not be surprised. We have crossed very significant levels of a lot of 2018 levels. Right now, we are at a place where it's very limited resistance from here to $20,000. Now, again, it's not a prediction. I can be wrong, and nobody knows the future. So, as I keep repeating, I'm not an analyst trying to give you a level. A lot of people try to do that in crypto world. I'm just observing, and what I'm trying to tell you is, this is, if you look at it, the last time we were in this area was in January 2018, and we were free falling. So it's not even a valid place. We never had any major accumulation or selling or buying in this area. It was a free fall after hitting $20,000. So we are in an uncharted territory from the up move perspective. The only parallel we have is in December 2017, when we broke through past these levels and reached 20,000. And that is exactly what can happen. Now, can we go down? Yes, because we are so far away from 200-day moving average. There's a very big chance we can go and try to meet that. So anything is possible, but nothing can deny the fact that we are in a very strong bull run. And anybody who is calling for correction is, I don't think they know what is going to really happen. So going back, I would say in last few hours, I'm seeing that altcoins are now this time not doing as bad as some of them, as we started with in when this correction started. So in general, the market size has grown now, and I think there is a good chance that this correction will be used to buy back. All right. So let's have a quick look at the questions. If there are any comments. What's the safest way to secure my account? I'm thinking of using one account for storage, voting, and one for dApps, one for social, and one for mobile wallet. Scott, so I think it's a good question. If you are in EOS world, let me tell you, you need to first understand the permission system. You need to have multiple permissions on your account. You don't need to have multiple accounts. You can actually create permissions. If you stake your tokens, and if you're buying REX, if you put the REX in saving, you can make sure that your owner permission and the owner keys are never exposed. You can use active keys to do all these operations, buying tokens, selling REX, or whatever you're doing. And you can use that if it is, and if you lose your keys, you will have 4 days of notice at least, if your REX isn't saving, to go and change your keys if somebody does any unauthorized access. In terms of voting and so on, there have been very nice articles written by EOS Canada, by New York. I think many of the people have done that. And that is something which you can do to go and secure using permissions. You don't even need multiple accounts. But of course, if you're comfortable doing multiple accounts, and if you want to own multiple accounts, that is also not a bad idea. But remember, each account security will be in your hands. You will be maintaining multiple keys. It is not very different. If you have the same key for multiple accounts, the different account has no meaning from blockchain perspective. So I think that is something everybody needs to learn over time. I hope, like, we are actually working on some ideas on custody solutions, and we believe that at some point maybe you need, if people who are not comfortable with their keys, they should use a custodial key solution also. And we will introduce those ideas later when we are ready. But I think I'm telling you, those are coming, and these will be the way you can secure yourself if you are not happy with how to set permissions and so on yourself. All right. What are the other questions? I recently started accumulating PEOS. What do you think? All right. So, George, PEOS is something which I don't understand. let me be very frank, I haven't seen any major ideas after the white paper. Of course, I know that a lot of people believe in it. There has been a lot of speculation. I have not. Means I don't know whether it's because when I've been working in private equity, when I've been investing as angel investor or advising any VC, I have never seen anybody investing in ideas. I have seen people investing in teams. I know that it's a crypto world. I know it's an anonymous team. It's very difficult for me to talk about somebody who I don't know and whether they will. There have been a lot of cases where teams have disappeared. The valuation is very high in my eyes already, and if you're putting the money which you can lose, of course you can speculate on anything you like, and that's what people do in this world as long as you know the risks. But yeah, I don't know why the valuation should be that high. If you look at the privacy itself, it's fairly private. Even EOS, like I know a lot of people. I would be very surprised if you can figure out who is the owner of a particular EOS account. It's not that easy unless somebody declares himself. Same thing for Bitcoin. Uh, Even though there is no privacy feature built in, we have never been able to figure out who Satoshi is. It was very easy. If it was just using the public blockchain and the ledger, it was so easy to find out who the person is. So if that is the objective, I don't see a need for it. I don't see why you need privacy coins. That's my personal view, of course. And there are some use cases of this, maybe, but I'm not an expert on that. So in other words, I would say that it's a speculation. It's your choice, and I don't know enough about POS or privacy coin use case to go and recommend that. All right. Uh, Prospector game. What are my thoughts? So Crypto Brad is asking us. I think I have seen it, and let me be frank, I have not participated in Prospector game. There's so many things happening. It's very difficult to keep track of it. I've heard good things about it, and I do like all the games which are more like traditional games and using crypto or blockchain and NFTs to enhance the gaming experience rather than the pure crypto games like casinos and so on. Definitely, these are some really important developments, and I like all the. I think I have heard good things about them, but personally, I'm sorry, but I don't have any experience directly on this prospectus game. All right. So while we are waiting for more questions, let me now talk about what is the next big thing. So, as we all talked about, voice is dependent on 1.8, but 1.8 is not just for voice, for every other DApp. Even when we are working on some DApps in our incubator, we are all very excited about 1.8. The reason is that in this case, it is solving a very big issue around resource management. You know that initially there was so many solutions given for CPU net, and RAM was still a problem for users. A lot of people did not realize how a particular app ate into their RAM, and suddenly they were not able to make any transactions. So some of the big changes happening in EOS 1.8 is that you as a app can pay for the RAM and CPU and net everything. Of course, already the Rex makes it very easy, and delegating CPU and net was not very difficult anyway, even for apps. And there were a lot of solutions already built even before 1.8. But structurally, 1.8 will change a lot of things, and a lot of great ideas are coming. But the challenge is that it is a hard fork. That means you cannot do a running upgrade. Everybody has to go and replay the whole chain and relaunch together. And that is, I'm talking about 21 top block producers. And that's where things are getting interesting. A lot of people are concerned, and we are watching very carefully. So we are a proxy. We watch very carefully on how things are moving. So we are seeing that many of these latest block producers, so what are on the top 21, some of them are very new. They have not been around when mainnet was launched. So it will be very interesting how this 1.8 migration happens. As you know, all our favorite BPs who have been helping do this 1.8 migration and who are working on the test nets and all, they are no longer in top 21, unfortunately. Now, this is, I think, another discussion and debate which is going on. A lot of people are concerned. I think as of today, means I don't know if we should be concerned, because we have to give them a chance. All of these guys, There's nothing bad outside. Of course, I know that we are talking about vote trading, vote buying, and so on, but it's all a matter of how you see morally or principally. But they're all doing it in a fair manner from the perspective of protocol. Protocol does not tell you cannot do deals with other voters, and you cannot exchange votes and so on. That's a business model some of people have adopted. If they are able to technically run this chain in the best performing manner, and if they are able to bring these 1.8 migrations, 2.0 migrations, all these things safely without breaking the network, I would not even care who is in top 21. That's my personal view. As a dApp developer, as a proxy, I do care, and we vote for the best block producers. And that's where I think, yes, we are talking to all these. I have created a connection with many of these new BPs now, thanks to some of the partners we have and we people who we vote for, like Silicon Valley, Hello EOS. These are very, very strong BPs. They have a very strong China connection. When I say strong, I mean the people, they are very well connected with the Chinese community, and they know almost every BP out there in top 21. And I'm actually running multiple meetings with them, talking individually with many of these. As a proxy, we keep doing that. And definitely we do like more other BPs whom we are voting for, and you can check our votes always on Aloha or any other proxy portal. But what I'm trying to highlight is our criteria is still the same. I'm not saying that we are going ahead and voting for these block producers whom we don't understand completely, but we are engaging with them. We are making sure that the network is still progressing the way it was. And till now, personally, I have not seen any evidence of anything going south. Everything is performing. Some of the BPs we have concern we have raised, and we have started talking to them and highlighting to the community what are the issues. So that is where we are on. I would say the 1.8 upgrade, I would say, is a huge deal. We are all waiting for it. Uh, this is very well tested on the testnet, and once this migrates, voice will be ready to launch on mainnet. But again, as I said before at the start of the video, my concern is not with the mainnet launch. My concern is why Block One is not launching on the testnet even after making all these announcements. So that's what is bigger concern, because as we all know, they are depending on KYC, and we have seen many projects go bad because of the KYC process. It's not easy to implement that and to be do it in a very smooth manner. So let's see how that goes, and I hope that all of this materializes. All right, so any other question, guys? We have to close in like 10 minutes. I think I'm able to extend that. I just realized, looked at my schedule. So do let me know if there are any other questions. But yeah, so this is the next big thing for EOS, I would say. 1.8, all the announcements we saw around 2.0 and the new features. What I understand is, maybe somebody can correct me later on, but what I understand is 2.0 will be a running change. So 1.8 is a big hard fork, and all the new features later on, which Block One has promised, they will be possible if we can migrate to 1.8. So that is a very good progress from that perspective if we make 1.8 happen. So this is where I think most of the things I had to talk about. I have another question here. What's your thought on EOS Bet? Again, as I said, all these casino games, they were a good innovation at the start of the chain. They were easy to implement because these people were fast enough and they grabbed a lot of gambling market. Unfortunately, most of these were run by bots and their token economics rather than the real gamers coming in. So that is something which disappoints me. I don't think it's a real use case. I think it's almost like a Ponzi scheme when your bots are mining and just earning tokens, and that gives you money. That means you are just you cannot create value out of nowhere. Value is created by actual time spent by people, which can be monetized, or interest created and revisiting user created on the platform. If you see, this was very similar to what happened when all this internet and these mobile apps were launched initially. People initially, the apps, they raised money from VCs, showing how many users they have, and then people started gaming that, and they started creating fake users. Now No VC or no equity investor will invest in your app just based on how many people you have. It's all a matter of what's the value you have created. Now, when you say EOS bet, I don't see the value creation there. Yes, it looks like a good uh, platform in the sense they are perhaps EOS bet and I think Bet Dice. These are two leading platforms for gambling and for many innovations they are doing. But I would be happy to see if somebody can show me real users coming in there, real betters instead of bots, and engagement on those platforms. But to be frank, I've not looked at those, so I cannot comment. But if that is something which is exciting, I'm sure there will be value created there. Casino market is huge, and I don't want to say that it is uh, like not valuable. But when I go back and when what I get excited about mythical games or item games, these are real Android games which have history of monetization. And you're looking at these means I have looked at the quality of these games. I have looked at what they are trying to do, and they are trying to create like these are proven value creation in the market. And this is where I would say I personally like these kind of use cases better, more sustainable, because you can build communities, not necessarily crypto communities or a short-term communities for earning tokens. These are real engagements which are possible, and that's what I think is bigger than any of these casino markets. And I agree with you. There has this account creation, BTC, and all that. But as I said, if somebody can share with me what is EOS bet actual volumes, which are not bot driven, which are actual engagement and actual gamblers coming in, that would if they are crossing those thousands of people per day on that, I would say yes, maybe there is a business case for them. But I think most, if I'm not wrong, most of these tokens are coming down in price all the time. So I don't know if even market is seeing that opportunity in these things. So whatever you do, one thing I would keep reminding you, um, the platforms when you invest, like Bitcoin is a huge brand and adoption is amazing. That's why it's priced so high. EOS has a market cap of billions of dollars because of the technology, because of community. Technology is easy to replicate. A lot of people have done depots. A lot of people are even going to improve it. Technology is never static. There's always improvements which keep happening, and they will keep happening. The point is, Ethereum is the biggest community on smart contracts, and it is still going strong. Even we all know that Ethereum is so limited in what it can do. Technologically, it is way behind EOS, but it's all about community. That is what keeping it alive, and that's where EOS value is. So anything when you look at, don't look at idea. And this is what means you learn, like, of course, means I'm not expecting all of you or anybody who is watching this show right now to have experience in equity investments or how people value. And so being in that field for like years and years, I can tell you ideas are very easy, and getting excited about ideas is easy. The point is the business case, the real value creation, as we call it in equity world. What is the value creation? What is your sustainability? That determines the real value of any project. And it's very difficult in this token world. I think when an average investor is investing in these projects, it's very difficult for them to evaluate, and that's why I think regulators are needed. I'm not the person who would say that we should not have regulations, because people are losing money in these. I know so many people who have come to me and said they bought some EOS token believing in the project. So what we say, like as an angel investor myself, I would say if you need to understand that 80 to 90 projects fail. Um, 80 to 90% project fails, even for the best of the best investors. So it's not something which you can control. Being like, you cannot pick a winner. You're fooling yourself if you're saying you picked a winner. So be ready to lose your money when you are picking these projects. But it's, and that is what it means being like buying these tokens or investing in these projects, or even crypto itself is in such an early stage. You are actually nothing but an angel investor, and if you don't understand the basics of being an angel investor, you should not be investing in this field. That's all I can say. All right. So These are some of the things I wanted to talk about. Coming back to the